Welcome to the Flore Fantasy and Sci-Fi Lore. We have another news episode for you today. We're going to be diving into the new things coming into all the universes that we cover. We're also going to be moving on from our Dune coverage and shifting into the MonsterVerse as we prepare for the next Godzilla Kong movie coming out. We're going to talk about things like new animated episodes in the DC animated universe, talking about the Tomorrowverse, which is similar to the New 52, an open and closed universe, but they are currently making new content for it. We're going to talk about releases and updates into the new Alien show coming out, along with a lot of other things that will be happening or have just recently happened. If that is what you're looking for, this is the episode for you. Roll the intro.
Do you remember the first story that was so spellbinding it drove you to break the rules and stay up all night to keep reading, keep watching, keep playing? So good, you forgot your life and lived there?
So good. The moment it ended, you asked yourself, what next?
Welcome to the Flore. Our goal is to take you back, take you deeper, to explore and understand more, and relive that childlike wonder.
Join us as we dive deep into humanity's greatest stories, no matter how they are told, through books, movies, television, even games.
One of us does an in-depth research on the topic. One of us is familiar with the topic.
And one of us knows nothing. So the right questions will always be asked and addressed for anyone coming into the topic, regardless of how much you know.
Enjoy another world, another adventure, another spellbinding story. Join us on the Flore.
Today, I'm going to start out with Dune, because Dune Part 2 has been released. Our review is coming as well.
It's out. The review dropped yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Depends on when you listen.
Fan of Eli started talking to now it came out.
Yeah.
Just dropped. So, how's it doing in the box office? Well, it started out a little bit slow, but then it just started to ramp up. And with these ramp-up predictions, might reach over like 600 million in revenue, all the way up to like 800 million.
Solid. It's good for a movie, yeah.
As far as IMAX is going, they are selling out.
Yeah, you can't get into the IMAXs. Those are sold out, yeah.
Some theaters are sold out up to 3 weeks out, which is intense. But this very much was a big push to watch it on IMAX. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we're shooting IMAX, go watch it in IMAX. That's what we're really shooting for.
And there were even people talking about, the IMAX theaters maybe capping the potential earnings of the movie because people are like, IMAX or nothing, And in this theater economy, nobody's building new IMAXs, right? Like, no. So yeah, it's kind of, there is a lot of talk about it might just hard cap Dune's earnings because there was a big push to see an IMAX. It's probably amazing in IMAX, and
just not enough seats.
There's just not enough seats.
IMAX?
I saw it in just a regular theater, not IMAX.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in IMAX either.
Okay, so both not actual fans. That's cool. I've been waiting to see it in IMAX because I care about watching it.
It's sold out.
Yeah, so I
can't get a seat.
My hands were tied.
I watched it in a no children theater. That's where I went and watched it.
Oh yeah, because you watched it a day early. You watched it on a day that only happens once every 4 years. So it's basically make-believe day.
Make-believe day. Fake day.
Yeah.
As far as like ratings for it that are going, Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 93 on the critics, 95% on the audience reviews.
Well,
it's all right. It's no Monarch, but Legacy of Monsters. Or
IMDb 8.9 out of 10. This beats like Shawshank Redemption. This it's scoring.
I feel like comparing it to Shawshank Redemption is like comparing an apple and a steak. Yeah.
Wow.
I was different. You can't just see like an NFL Super Bowl game versus like a kid's pickup game.
So, as far as IMDb goes and their scoring, Shawshank Redemption was like their number one as far as the scoring on IMDb, right? And then Dune Part 2 has surpassed that.
Oh, wow.
So the highest score IMDb has ever given is 8.9.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've been hearing. But like it's being compared to like The Empire Strikes Back, Godfather, a lot of big classics out there. People are really loving this one. So yeah, that's what I got for Dune for us. In alien news, the short film No Man's Land by the Kennedy Productions has dropped on YouTube and has over 2.6 million views. This is the one that's set in World War I, in like the war trenches. I've mentioned this earlier in our news episodes, but that is available to go watch now. No Man's Land by Kennedy Production. All right, on to Noah Halloway. So last time I told you he had said in an interview that he was going to be making his TV series, this beginning, middle, and end kind of thing.
Yeah, a little triple.
So the FX chairman, John Landorf, has come out and said that he is building the show to be an ongoing show. Which is a little bit contradictory to what Noah's saying. So perhaps that's just miscommunication. Perhaps they're not on the same page. Hard to say.
Yeah, hard to say.
It's a more recent statement about Noah Halloway's Alien series. On to Romulus. So the actress Isabel Marcid, I believe that's her name, during an interview for Madam Web, brags about watching a scene of the Romulus on an iPad with a group of cast and crew, and that everyone had to turn away out of disgust, except for her. So she's bragging that she didn't have to turn away from the scene.
And this was an actress from Madam Web?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That makes sense. She can see in the future. She already knew what the scene was going to look like.
It's not.
No, it wasn't Dakota Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
that was Madam
I'm
Web watching the teacher. Yeah.
It's hard for you to say like who exactly she is, but anyways, that makes it promising that we might get another scene like the original chestburster scene, right? Yeah. That just might blow audiences away. We also have the actor David Johnson say that Romulus will be a very, very different kind of a story, saying that we have such an incredible spin on it. So that's just, some actors talking about, just some leakage, but not really, here on the internet talking about Romulus coming soon. On to Cyberpunk news. Artel Saurian's DLC is rules for roller derby. Teams, rules for the game, special actions, and gear. So if you had fun with the stickball last time, they now have a roller derby rules for Cyberpunk. As far as Cyberpunk 2077, we had the 2.12 update, which was 25 gigabytes. So pretty big update. And it was a lot of bug fixes. If you've been experiencing a stutter in your game related to a new performance button, that stutter has been fixed. There's more detailed descriptions of the more complicated quick hacks in the game so you can understand them more thoroughly. They've also fixed the Xbox save and load problems. They were getting stuck in saving or loading screens. They just would have to completely reboot. So they fixed that. There was also times where the game would glitch and you'd run into unkillable enemies. So they've fixed that as well.
No, that's just normal Cyberpunk.
Haha.
I heard about Atom Smasher. Yeah, no, that's how that's supposed to be.
You kill Atom Smasher.
What?
Yeah, before Phantom Liberty.
Manned up and strapped on a pair that whole time and interim.
But like he's the big enemy. Like he's your final boss. And then Phantom Liberty survived.
But David was already dead. Like even before he jumps into the big machine, he's barely connected to reality. Like he is crumbed out.
Episode 1. Like they could have had that running for like 6 seasons at that point.
So David just chrome.
You know, season 2, they can just have David hijacking somebody else's brain. You know, it's a really interesting story for video game.
As Aaron has just found out what Cyberpunk 2077 storyline is. All right, moving on. They also fixed key binding problem. So people who were, they've enhanced the key binding flexibility because some people who aren't using quarterly keyboards were having problems. And so they loosened up the flexibility on that. However, they didn't fix the mouse key bindings crash. So you still have to keep your mouse key bindings turned off. Otherwise, you will crash your game. On to more CD Projekt Red things. So we have CD Projekt Red's Project Orion. This is going to be a cyberpunk game expanding on 2077. It's kind of like Cyberpunk 2, if you will, just expanding on the franchise in general. We know very little about this with their patterns of their projects in the past. We're thinking this is probably about 6 years out before it launches.
Yeah, I mean, AAA games, they're looking, 5-6 years is pretty standard now.
We do know that they will be switching over to the Unreal Engine for this. Right now they're using CD Projekt Red's engine. Red Engine. And they also are mentioning that they are focusing early on to make this a multiplayer game. Something they were able to
that
before.
Too bad it's 5-6 years out. That sounds like a ton of fun.
It does. It does. I think they see that as a big failure. Like, we have to make the next one multiplayer.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. So speaking of edge runners, CD Projekt Red is teaming up with Anonymous Content, who's known for developing things
Anonymous what?
Content.
Oh, content. Okay.
Known for developing things like True Detective, Mr. Robot, and The Revenant. This will be a live-action cyberpunk. But in what form, we don't exactly know. We do know they're still looking for a screenwriter at this time, but it's something.
Oh, well, maybe they could get the writers for The Witcher.
It's different, though. Cyberpunk doesn't have, like, a canon story that the main character goes through. Cyberpunk is a world you play in. So it is different. So there's definitely
events, not canons. Like,
yes, like the story of Geralt has a canon, whereas there are a few characters in Cyberpunk, but
I'm just picturing a Geralt manning a cannon when you say that.
Yeah, imagine if somebody's like, "We're gonna tell The Witcher the story of Garrick the fighter." Be like, "Wait, isn't Geralt The Witcher?" Be like, "Well, not in this version. We're just telling his story." But you can do that in Cyberpunk, and nobody's like, "Wait, that's not what this is about, right?" The Cyberpunk is a world you play in, like D&D, right? You can just make some dude and then follow his story. I mean, that's what the D&D movie was about, right? A dude who was part of the Harpers. It's just a story of him, his family, and his friends, and that's it. There's a lot more flexibility in these worlds as opposed to canon stories, right? Like, imagine you sit down with Lord of the Rings, be like, "There's this elf named Arwen, and we're just going to follow his story." Be like, is he part of the getting the ring to Mordor? Not at all. He's not involved in that. This is like 100 years before that happens. Be like, so what happens? Be like, we're still working that out, but it's in Middle Earth. Be like, I don't think that's what people want from Middle Earth. I think they want the canon.
Isn't that what that other show was?
Well, it's complicated what Rings of Power is. It was pitched as about the canon events from the Simulacrum that Tolkien wrote, which were the canon events leading up to the Ring of Power, but they've really gone off and done their own thing.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm sure the fans loved it.
The diehard fans did not. Okay. But they're making 2 more seasons, so somebody loves it.
People making it.
People making it.
All right, let's go watch that thing we made.
So that's my news for today.
All right, okay. I only got a couple things, but I probably have the best things. Don't want to, make y'all feel bad for what you brought, but just so you know. Number one, Marty O'Donnell, the creator of the music for Bungie's Halo, is running for a seat in Congress in Nevada. So let's get all our priest friends together and go, oh,
Could you cabinet?
What?
Oh,
Halo.
cabinet friends?
Well, it sounds like a bunch of girls singing.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you can get if you have covenant friends, that's cool. It's just if you hate humans. So that's really exciting because, it's Halo.
It's Halo.
So we had talked in the past about this little crossover DC versus Monsterverse comic. I don't know if you guys remember or not.
Not remember that at all.
So, DC versus the Justice League. Or excuse me, Monsterverse versus the Justice League. Godzilla versus the Justice League, I think is what we said. So, if that helps at all.
Doesn't ring a
We
bell.
mentioned it in our news a while back, and these have been coming out. And big highlight that just came out in the new issue is my boy just became a part of the Green Lantern's Corps. And if you guys know anything about the Lantern Corps, there's different types of lanterns for different emotions. Green is will. That's your most common. That's the one you see Hal Jordan in your police force of the universe. And King Kong got himself a Green Lantern ring.
No way.
Yeah. Yes, this is pretty exciting for everyone who cares about anything.
And you see him walking around, it's just a dude. And they're like, that's what you do with your ring? He's like, you don't know how big I really am. You don't get it. You have any idea how amazing it is? I could just walk into this restaurant and have a nice meal. Incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And it's filling. This tiny little plate is filling. It's amazing. I love this ring. Like, well, what are your powers? Be like, oh no, I don't need powers to save the universe. Have you seen how big I am? I need the ring to be normal.
It would give him the ability to fly and fly through space.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Those are two pretty big things that I think Kong would be like, oh, I'm tough now.
That's crazy. What else you got, Aaron?
So this one is, we haven't really talked about these universes in a bit, but I think this one's important enough to discuss. So Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, he passed away with his release a couple days ago, but I think it was technically yesterday. And so for all of us people who grew up off of that, who loved watching those, that was kind of the spark that set off a lot of these newer shows. Like it branched off. The big three after DBZ was Bleach, Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece. And then from there they had their splits as well. And I actually saw a really cute painting of like Goku playing with like the main characters of those three shows as kids, just like passing the torch on. So that was just a little heartfelt thank you for all he did, because he really did a lot of good for the anime and just fun and fantasy and lore worlds in general. Crisis on Infinite Earths is an animated show in the DC universe. We have talked about one of DC universe, the 52, the 16 continuous films.
Yeah,
there's a new continuous movies. There's like 5 or 6 of them out right now. And Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2 is the newest installment in that universe, which is called the Tomorrowverse, and that comes out April 23rd. And so Crisis on Infinite Earth is like the Flashpoint, but on an infinite level, Joe.
So, but no, where can we watch this when it comes out?
In front of your face.
With your eyes. We watch it with your eyes.
Oh my gosh. Come on. You're watching their hands. I don't actually know. These are not on on Max. And broke my little heart a little bit. I'll get back to you on that one.
All right.
And then the last important news that is super exciting for all my fans or all my nerds and my nerddom is Hugh Jackman is wearing his suit, the correct suit.
The true Wolverine suit.
The
yeah.
true Wolverine suit.
This has been big on the internet for a while
I
now.
just want to make sure, and like they've released some either trailer / just deleted scene stuff where those two are hardcore playing into their roles. Really well. And it's gonna be pretty fun. So those are my main things.
Yeah. Oh, when you say the true suit, you mean the '90s suit?
That yellow one,
yellow and
that skin tight.
Yeah.
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 So he doesn't have the all the time because he's not wearing a thing. But outside of that,
Yeah, the 90s
Shoulder
suit.
the stick out shoulders.
Yep.
yeah. Well, that's why he always goes like this and never like this because
And never like this. All right. So not a ton of new stuff in the fantasy worlds. So Dragons of Eternity, this is the Dragonlance book. We've mentioned this a few times as it's gone through a rough process and some lawsuits. Is now in pre-order, so you can pick that up. Humblewood, the campaign setting for D&D is now on D&D Beyond. So if you're not familiar, Humblewood is where you're playing forest creatures. So instead of playing a Kenku, you play a crow, right? Instead of playing a human cat people. What is
Tabaxi.
Tabaxi, you just play a cat or you play a mouse. So if you've ever read like the Redwall books, this is kind of that feel, right? You play a mouse, you like, so that's that setting. Right.
I mean, magic.
excuse me.
So the D&D Dragonlance live action is dead. So we know that the action director from the John Wick films is working on the D&D movie. This is not that. This was Joe Manganiello. He was big in like True Blood. He was in one of the Spider-Man movies, right? He's the big.
And Joe actually showed me this movie. I didn't actually watch it. Magic Mike.
He's in Magic Mike. That makes sense. He's a big guy, very muscular, but he's big into D&D. And if you're familiar with D&D, he's a brand ambassador. He's out there a lot. So the Dragonlance project was something he was really loved. He really was excited to get it. And when they killed it, he offered to buy Dragonlance from Hasbro, and they turned him down.
Oh, what's that?
Well, let me buy it from you, and then we can still make my show. And they're like, no. And he's like, so yeah, really, really sad news there. Nothing new in The Witcher. HBO was working on another Game of Thrones prequel focusing on Aegon the Conqueror's conquest of the Seven Kingdoms. And the producers and some of the head writers of the Game of Thrones series are about to launch a mini-series on Netflix called The Three Body Problem. I don't know if you guys have heard of or read these books.
Sure.
So it is. No, not Brandon Sanderson. It's a Chinese author, so they're translated into English. But the story begins in China, and it walks through the the Cultural Revolution that took place after the Communist Revolution, and then some of the aftermath of that. And then it is sci-fi. They do begin interacting with alien species. I don't want to spoil much, but yeah. So that is the Three Body Problem, and like I said, and I think even the guy who played Samuel Tarly is he's in the Three Body Problem as well. So yeah, dipping into Eli's universes there, but that's our Game of Thrones news. There was I guess I don't know if it was a rumor or a leak, but there was word that House of the Dragon Part 2, Season 2 would begin in June. But we also know they just started some reshoots this month, so I don't know how real that date is. The source seemed a little dubious, knowing that we just started reshoots. I didn't any of the official sites. I didn't see a release date on. So
going forward, you can just say there's a rumor, and then anything you say after that is fine.
fine.
Because even if it's the first time you said it, like this is the rumor. So, for instance, let me explain something. So, there's actually a rumor going around that they're going to do a crossover between Halo universe, Master Chief, and the Doom guy, and then you do a live action.
Shit about
Yes, yeah, Doom guy and Hate Love Master.
The War of Rohirrim was originally scheduled to come out April of this year. It has been moved to December of next year. So that's a big shift on that project. That's way pushed back. Yeah. So surprising. All right. Brandon Sanderson has released a Kickstarter for a leather-bound version of The Words of Radiance, and in just a couple days, hit 16 million. Just smashing records and stuff. So people are very excited to have this very a book that feels like it is from that world of that world. So, and that is his big series.
You know, the part about that one is only 3 people invested in that Kickstarter.
Only 3 people? No, he's got a bunch. I think 55,000 last I saw. In some other news, Final Fantasy VII Part 2 of the 3-part remake came out, I think, beginning of last week. And so if you're not familiar with the games, it's like Final Fantasy, massive series, really kicked off fantasy video games. 7 is their most popular version ever. They're doing a complete remake, so it's, the very action-packed, a lot of people loving it. And so the second part has just come out. And I know a lot of people are very excited to revisit that and play through it. And it looks awesome, too, if you've seen any footage from it. The other news, so if you're familiar with Tactics Ogre or Ogre Tactics, classic game from the 90s. They did a remake on it called I think it was Ogre Tactics Reborn. So today, a game called Unicorn Overlord based on that came out. They had a huge demo drop. And people are just absolutely loving it. They say, it's just true to form. Not only that, but the demo they gave you didn't even limit how much you could play, just how long. So if you beat the game in 8 hours, you beat the game on demo,
They're like, we're not giving you a cutoff. We'll just give you a time limit.
Time limit.
Wow.
Whatever you get done in that time limit is what you get to play. And so a lot of people would go in and just make up new accounts so they could keep playing the demo. So it's on multiple platforms. Switch is a big one. If you're a PC player, it is not on Xbox anywhere or Steam. So you need either an Xbox or a Switch or a PlayStation to be able to play this. But like I said, it is in that genre, and it does sound like they knocked it out of the park. That's it for my news. So that's it. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed these.
I have one more thing I just remembered. Plus, it's the best thing to end on. There is a rumor because Keanu Reeves was asked in a interview if he could be recast for a role or do like a sequel to any of his roles. Who would he pick? And they are hinting at on the webs that he will be reprising his role as Constantine.
Really interesting.
Oh, Eli, my other one with the Doom guy and Master Chief was a rumor I just made up right now. Still technically a rumor, but just...
Well, it sounds like the Doom guy was sitting more with Constantine, right? Because Constantine's
true. They both fight demons and devils. Yeah.
So, technically, depending on how you go about lore, Doom guy kills demons, and Master Chief's name is Demon. The Covenant... The
Covenant call him Demon.
Yeah, so if the Covenant hire...
At least in the TV show. I don't know about the game.
No, games, yep, all the time. I know about the games.
All right.
So, all right, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know if there's a world you want us to cover that we don't. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We have mentioned in the past that if you go to the Patreon page, we have collections of all the different worlds and pieces of lore we have covered. For example, if you want everything we have ever done about Baldur's Gate, from the invention of D&D to Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that, you can find individual collections for all of those, or just one big collection containing all of Baldur's Gate or all of D&D. So everything we have covered, Eberron, Marvel, DC, Alien, Xenoverse, Cyberpunk, Dune, and more. We have collections for each of those worlds. And I do want to mention that on the Patreon, the only thing behind the subscription is the Treasure Room content. Anything that has been released in the podcast for free is still free there. It is just a better organization of the information that the podcast app doesn't let us do. They are just a big list, and you just got to type in your search words. On the Patreon, there are tags for everything. You got fantasy, D&D, creature features, Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that. Just an individual tag for those episodes. And as I said, we do have collections just to make this as easy as possible to find what you're looking for. We have learned in the past that a lot of people who listen to The Flore, they're interested in one or two of the worlds, and they may check out one or two of the episodes when we switch worlds, but they're really just mostly interested in that. So we just want to consolidate everything you're looking for to make it just as easy as possible to access. So check that out just to make your life easier. And we are working at making sure you can download any of the free episodes there. So even if you're going to lose Wi-Fi or connection, you can get the episodes you want before that happens, or just not burn your data while you're traveling to and from work or whatever else is you do while you listen. And thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy the show.